Welcome to the Smart Dating Academy podcast. I'm Bela Gandhi, the founder of Smart Dating Academy and your host. I started Smart Dating Academy in 2009 because I had this crazy knack of giving people dating advice that actually worked, that I took. I've been married for almost 25 years, and now my company helps people to date smarter and to find love. This podcast is meant to bring more love into your life, no matter where you are and what you do. And we're here to bring more life into your love. Smart daters, welcome back to the Smart Dating Academy show. I'm so happy to be here with you today on this Independence Day and this Independence Weekend. And there's so many great things happening here at Smart Dating Academy. If you haven't followed our newsletter, if you don't subscribe to it, make sure you go to our site, smartdatingacademy.com, register on any form, and you'll automatically be put into our newsletter database. But we've had so many people falling in love. We've been reporting the stories, and we've had so many people seeking us out to find love that we're currently on a wait list until the fall to get into peak dating season. So if dating is something that you are hot to trot about and you think that this is going to be the year for you, make sure that you get on our newsletter list, make sure you get on our wait list to be in our one-on-one program. So what I wanted to talk to you about today is something that's near and dear to my heart. I help people get into relationships by helping them become better daters, right? And then getting into relationships that are actually healthy and happy for you. And as someone who was a bad dater, that's me, you guys know my stories, and put together my own methodology, which I followed, which I teach now at Smart Dating Academy, but which led me to my husband, Andy, of 25 years. What I want to talk to you today in honor of Independence Day is how to become and seem more independent, not just on your dates, but also for those of you that are in relationships, because independence is sexy, right? Independence is confidence. We all want to appear independent. Now, independent doesn't mean aloof and avoidant and I don't need you, I don't want you. But independent is just, it's that person. If you close your eyes and you think about somebody who's independent, right? You think about somebody who just has it going on, has their own life, and they're just comfortable and confident in their skin, right? They could be in love and be happy, but they're also just as happy with themselves when they're not. So I want you to make sure that you are doing all of the things to become independent and happy, and also to make sure that you're positioning yourself as a good, potentially independent partner, because the opposite of that is the N word that none of us want to be. And that's needy, right? We hear needy. And for so many people, it causes like spiders crawling on our skin. And most of us don't think that we're needy people. Some of us might know, like, yeah, I am kind of needy and I need a lot of attention, right? But here, what I want to teach you how to do in this episode today is not be so needy, or conversely, become your most independent self so that you are more confident, you're happier in your life, and you come off as more attractive and more sexy, whether it be to a brand new date, to somebody who you're on a fifth date with, or somebody you've been in a relationship with for 6 months or 6 years or 6 decades. So what I'm going to do is take you through a list of 7 things. So thing number 1 that I want to tell you is super important for you. So many of us is, I want you to create a life for yourself that you actually love. Okay. And then be able to talk about what you love and the things that you do. So often as a dating coach, I hear people going, oh, if I had a significant other, my life sucks because I am just that person. I don't have a partner. I'm always on my own. I'm going to the barbecues alone, or I don't get invited, la, 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 la. And when you're thinking those kinds of negative thoughts, you know what you're projecting out there? You're projecting negative energy. So again, Number one, I want you to create that life for yourself that you love, and then prepare to talk about that. So what does that mean for you? Create a life that you love. Think about the things, and sometimes it requires some reflection. What are the things that make you happy? And so often, especially as women, and women that maybe have been married or in long-term relationships, maybe you're caring for children, maybe you're caring for aging parents. All of that stuff has escaped us. If I say to you, what do you love to do? A lot of women will look at me blankly and go, I don't really know what I love to do. Think about being young. What did you love to do? Could you fashion sketch for hours? Did you make mixtapes and mix CDs? What are the things that you love to do and that make you feel good? And start to put those things into your life on a daily basis. You know, I'm a big fan of eating healthy, okay? Because food is your medicine, and what you're putting in your body is going to affect you physically, emotionally, and mentally. Get movement every single day, right? Because movement is really good for our mental health, and it makes us feel more positive. It puts us in a better mood. You get dopamine, you get beta endorphins. These things make you happier. And so doing these kinds of things are going to help you to create that life that you love. And then when you're on dates, be able to talk about the things that light you on fire and make you that make you the best version of you, the most interesting version of you. Because when you talk about something passionately, it makes the other person, if they're listening to you now, God hope they're listening to you, it gives them content, it gives them material to get to know you better, to become more curious about you, to ask you questions, to get to know you better. So that's point number one. Now, the second thing I want you to do, and this is whether you're single or you're in a relationship, you guys, I want you to start actively traveling and doing things on your own. Go on a trip alone. Okay. For those of you, I've been married for 25 years, right? I have had a sidekick, my husband, forever. Then we had 2 kids. I have a lot of friends. But going on trips alone for me, I fulfill that through my business trips, right? I go by myself. I go to the airport alone. I fly alone. I often eat alone. I've gotten comfortable eating by myself because I've been traveling for business since I've been in my early 20s. I've been in Japan on my own. I've been in Brazil on my own. I've been in Australia completely on my own, taking those long trips. But what it does is it gets you comfortable with spending time with the most important person in your life, and that is yourself. Learn, if you haven't had to do that because you've been single for a long time or you've done business travel, do something. Put yourself out of your comfort zone. So many people will tell me, oh my gosh, I could never go to a movie alone. I could never go to a Broadway show alone. I could never go to a restaurant alone. Yes, you can. You guys, every time I go to New York to do a show, this coming Friday, I'm going to New York to record a segment, or not record a segment, to do a live segment on Saturday, July 9th for Good Morning America. What do? I fly there on Thursday. And as soon as I land, I fly by myself. I'm in a hotel by myself. Do I have a lot of friends in New York? Yeah. Do I have a lot of clients in New York? Yeah. But I use that to become acclimated and comfortable with myself again, because I don't get a lot of alone time. My secret, when I go alone to go to GMA or the Today Show, I find what Broadway show is playing and I buy a ticket for one person. And it's funny. And I've seen The Waitress. I've seen Dear Evan Hansen. I've seen so many amazing shows alone by myself. And I might treat myself to a great cup of coffee or a glass of wine during the show. And sometimes I slink in by myself and people will look at me like, oh, is there anybody else coming behind her? And no, it's just me and that one seat. And I talk to the people to the left of me, to the right of me, and just make it an entire experience. And I tell people I do this by myself. And I bought this one ticket, and people are always impressed by that. And it gives me more confidence in myself to be able to do all of those things alone. So if you haven't done this yet, I want you to think about what could you do that would challenge you and put yourself out of your comfort zone a little bit. Maybe go to a bar by yourself, sit at a restaurant by yourself without having your nose in a book, right? Be present. Eat by yourself. Get comfortable with it. We so often feel this social anxiety that, oh my gosh, what are people going to think if I'm alone? I'm a loser and I don't have anybody. No, people will be like, they're not thinking about you. They'll look over there and they'll see you sitting by yourself. And then they'll go back to thinking about their favorite subject, which is themselves. So be that person that starts to get really comfortable in your own skin. And if you're feeling bold, plan a trip for yourself. Maybe it's just a weekend. I'm not saying you have to go to Europe for 2 weeks completely by yourself, although I have tons of clients that have done that and they've really had a great time amidst some challenging moments. Sometimes 14 days on your own can feel a little lonely and you feel like, man, I wish I had someone to share this experience with, but I hear you. The beauty is do for yourself what feels comfortable. 2 days, 3 days, maybe it's 14 days, but make sure that you're in places and that you're comfortable reaching out to strangers, talking to strangers, maybe asking somebody else who's sitting by themselves, hey, could I sit with you? And just talk to them for an hour, but get yourself to that point because ladies and gentlemen, the more comfortable you will feel on your own, the better relationship partner you'll be and the better date you'll be because you're going to feel less needy because you can do things by yourself. And there's a certain fierceness and independence that comes along with that. I always feel a little badass when I do things by myself because it makes me know that I am just fine on my own and I am excellent company for myself. So, number 3, learn to recognize and deal with your own emotions. Don't expect someone else. Maybe it's your significant other. Maybe it's the person you're on a date with. Maybe it's a friend of yours. Don't expect people to mind read and read your emotions and always do the right thing. So I want you, this is really the definition of what we call emotional intelligence. When you feel something, you validate your feeling, but get to the bottom core of what made that bad feeling arise. Do you feel sad? Do you feel angry? Do you feel scared? Right? What is that feeling? And what was the thought or the event that triggered that feeling? And I want you to go deep with yourself. Like, okay, when so-and-so gave me a dirty look or what I perceived as a dirty look when they walked into the office that morning, that made me feel sad because I felt like I did something wrong to them. So I want you, number 1, to be able to identify what made you sad, right? And get to the bottom of what that emotion is, right? And I want you to learn how to self-regulate. Now, how do you do that? Instead of stewing in sadness all day, I want you to think about, are there alternative interpretations for what might have just happened? If the example I just used that came to the top of my head, if somebody gave you a dirty look or what you thought was a dirty look when you walked in, could it have been about something else? Ask yourself, what is another story that might have happened? Oh, well, maybe they forgot to wear their contact lenses and maybe they're just scrunching their eyes because they can't see who's walking into the room, right? Maybe they had a fight with somebody else this morning and this has nothing to do with me. Come up with 3 different alternative interpretations for what you think someone might be thinking about you, and you'll automatically start to self-regulate because so often as anxious people, we tend to self-magnify, right? We tend to think everything is about us. But the good news is it's not always about us. Someone else's bad mood isn't about us. Somebody else's dirty look has nothing to do with us. So I want you to learn how to recognize your emotions, recognize the events that triggered you to feel that way, and then recognize the fact that if someone did trigger you, if there was something, you have a voice and you can talk to the person about it and just say, hey, when I walked in this morning, the story I'm telling myself is that you might have been mad at me because I saw you giving me a dirty look. Am I just inventing this? Or if somebody did something that actually triggered you, Regulate yourself. Tell yourself, this person didn't mean to trigger me. I triggered myself and I allowed myself to get angry. Bring your own anger down by taking the responsibility for that. And then have a conversation with that person and have that conversation from a place of love with the goal of getting that relationship to the next best place. Okay. So recognize your own emotions and know that your own emotions are your own responsibility. My own emotions, even though I've been married to Andy for 25 years, my emotions are not his problem, right? I'll tell him, hey, I know I seem like in a bad mood, and I want you to know why. I've got this, this, and this going on at work, and I'm a little stressed out right now, but I want you to know this has nothing to do with you, and I'm working through this right now. I don't need advice. I might want to talk to you later just to vent some things out. And he will look at me and say, I so appreciate you telling me where you're at and telling me that this isn't about me, right? I can recognize I'm feeling stressed, I'm feeling scared, I'm feeling anxious, and I can use my voice to tell him what I'm thinking so that he doesn't react to what he thinks my story is. So these things, you guys, they will take you yards and yards in the dating world or in the relationship world. Remember, your feelings are your own responsibility. Understand what they are and learn to regulate yourself, right? They say, learn to soothe your own inner child. So many of us grew up in houses where we didn't learn how to self-soothe, or we were left to our own devices and we shut down, or we got angry and now we flee from situations. But I want you to learn to recognize your emotions, regulate your emotions, and then use your voice to either talk yourself down or talk to another person about it with the goal of always getting the relationship to a better level. Now, number 4, how to become more independent and seem more independent and be more independent in your relationships is have friends outside of your relationship with a significant other. Or if you're single, make sure that you have a robust network of friends. I want you to always maintain these relationships. So often when we start dating somebody, we tend to want to just suck up every second with this person, and because we're anxious, right? And we're coming from an anxious place. And we think if we're not totally together with this person all the time, that in that separateness, something bad is going to happen. What I'm here to tell you is maintain that network of friends. Your friends want you to be around. They're watching your behavior when you're starting to date somebody or you're in a new relationship, or even if you're married, your friends want to be part of your life. Always maintain those friendships because you get something special from every person that you're friends with. You're going to have your wild and crazy friend. You're going to have your adventurous friend. You might have your friend that's into intermittent fasting with you. You might have your yoga friend. You have all of these friends for all of these different reasons. Always, always, always maintain your relationships with other people. It will make you feel more independent and be more independent, and therefore be a better dater and a better partner. Now, number 5, right? Develop a hobby of your own that is your own and that you are super passionate about, and then immerse yourself in that hobby, fall in love with it, and then be able to talk about it. So maybe you've thought about becoming a golfer and you've never golfed. Okay. Get yourself a golf coach, get yourself an instructor, go to the driving range, learn how to hit balls, go to Golf Tech, right? Hit at an interactive, whatever those ranges are, where you can like video game the hell out of your golf game. But be consistent about it. Develop this hobby, get good at it, and then be ready to talk about the fact that you're a new golfer, but how much you're loving this and what you're doing to improve your game. Maybe you're an aspiring musician, right? I'm giving you the things that I want to learn how to do. I would love to learn how to play the guitar, right? So pick up a guitar, get a teacher, Find chords online and start learning how to do things and learning to be with yourself. And doing these things will build your confidence so substantially in yourself. And it's going to bring you so much more joy because you're putting things into your life that you actually love. And it's also going to make you what? It's going to make you a more interesting conversational partner because now you have all these new things to talk about rather than same old, same old. You can say, well, something interesting I've been doing lately is I've been teaching myself guitar because I've always been obsessed with music. I love acoustic covers. So I figured instead of listening to all these people playing amazing acoustic covers, maybe I can learn how to do that myself. And so you just become a more interesting human being. You become a happier human being, and you certainly become a hell of a lot more interesting from a conversational standpoint. And this isn't just for dates. This is even in your friendships, in your boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, in your marriage. Have something that you're developing by yourself on your own that you are super passionate about that you can talk about. Get your charcoal pencils out, get your colored pencils out, learn how to draw, learn how to paint, do that thing that is going to light your fire, put that fire in your belly, and just make you excited about life. Now, point number 6 is learn to become what I call interdependent in a relationship, not codependent. And there is a difference, okay? Sometimes independent can mean aloof or avoidant, like I referred to when I first opened up the show. That is not what I mean. Interdependent means you are good on your own. You know your wants, you know your needs, you know your core values, and you have a partner who knows the same. He or she knows their wants, their needs, and their core values. And when you're together, you are better together. You don't need to be around each other, but you love to be around each other. Being codependent means if you're on your own, you feel like if we're not together at every moment, your anxiety starts to trigger and you feel like, oh my God, I'm going to be abandoned. This person's going to find someone better. They're going to fall out of love with me. No, that is not how you want to be in a relationship. And remember, getting the help around that. If you find yourself being more codependent, get a dating coach. Hire us at Smart Dating Academy. Hire a therapist. This is what you need. You need to learn to build your core muscles of being independent. And this is what this podcast is about, is having you build up your own life so that you can be interdependent with a partner. Come together and be happy, but then also be happy when you're on your own. You can fulfill each other's needs, but most importantly, you can fulfill your own needs. That is the difference of being interdependent versus codependent. When you're codependent, you lose sight of yourself. You lose sight of what you want, what you need, and what your values are. And you can chameleon yourself into being a clone of this person that you're with, who most likely doesn't want a clone, right? They want you to be you. They were attracted to the you were on the first and the second and the third date. They weren't looking for a Xerox copy of themselves. So becoming interdependent as a goal is something that is going to be fostered by you becoming more independent in your own life, more passionate about your own life, creating a life that you love, understanding your own emotions, identifying your emotions. All of these things are, no pun intended, interdependent with each other. And last but not least, point number 7 about becoming more independent in your life and all of your relationships is I want you to realize, right, whether you're single and you're still on the search for that relationship, maybe you're in a new relationship, or maybe you're in an existing relationship that's been going on for 6 months, 6 years, or 5 decades. I want you to know that your relationship cannot and should not be everything to you. If it is, you are putting too much pressure on the relationship. One person cannot be everything for you. That's why I'm telling you, have a partner that fits your core values, what you need in a partner to be happy, and what you want in a partner, right? But then have a network of other people that fulfill other things for you. I always say to my clients, just because you love to play tennis or you love the opera doesn't mean that your partner has to do the same, right? Because those aren't core needs or core values, right? That might be a want, but you can have a person that loves the opera that's a friend of yours. You can join a tennis league again and get that part of yourself fulfilled without having to pressure your partner to do all of the same things that you do. Don't make this one relationship everything for you. I want you to think about your relationships like you would asset management, right? You want to diversify your relationships because you get different things fulfilled by different people. Even if it's your romantic partner, this might be the most important relationship in your life, but you should have lots of other relationships with other people that fulfill and excite you and keep you becoming a better person. You learn from other people, you grow from other people, you can take on their hobbies as well. So I really hope that on this Independence Week that this has inspired you to really create a life that you love, independent from anybody else around you. Get to know yourself, ladies and gentlemen. Get to know what you love in your life, what you're lacking, what you would love more of, what you would want to learn, where you would want to go. Do the things that I am telling you in this podcast episode, and you're going to watch your life go from a happiness level X to a happiness level 3X. I promise you. And as always, thank you for listening. If you love this episode and you love our podcast, and so many of you have been sending so many amazing love notes, I read every one of them. Make sure that you follow me on Instagram at Smart Dating Academy. Make sure, like I said in the beginning, that you sign up in our database for our newsletter. So you're getting things hot off the presses. And if you need a consultation, if you need any help, you need a coaching session, or you want to get in on the wait list for our one-on-one coaching program, make sure that you reach out to us now. And until next time, I can't wait until we meet again.